This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life. Welcome to the Inkpulp podcast. My mouth is a little dry, so I'm going to be sipping water as we go. So this is the first in a series of me inking some skulls. And I recorded this after spending some time with Tommy Lee Edwards, my good friend and amazing artist. And we had recorded an episode of Inkpulp Instruction together. And while Tommy was inking, I was learning. I was also questioning a lot of what I do myself. And what I saw Tommy doing was making a lot of decisions in the inking phase, whereas I was really leaving, I was minimizing the decisions that needed to be made in the inking phase. And I was also not leaving room for discovery, I guess is the best way to put it. So what I did here is I drew these skulls very small. The original drawings for these are maybe 3/4 of an inch tall. And I decided I was going to blow them up. I loved the drawings of them, and I wanted to make some merch with them. And these are, I'll just say this off to the side real quick. This whole skull series, these are all available on my TeePublic site. The link is in the description below. And I'm really happy with how they came out. I colored them using Photoshop, and it's a really nice line of merch I created. So I wanted to explore inking in a way where I was open to discovery, in a way to where I was drawing more in this phase and not just finessing a drawing that already existed. And so my original intention was I was going to draw the skulls small, blow them up, pencil them, refine the pencils, and then ink. But once I blew them up, I said, you know what, let's just have some fun. I'm a skilled inker. I have good command and control of the brush. I have a real good understanding of the marks I make and why I make them. I have a good understanding of value. So I just wanted to play, and I said, let me record this, and I'll make a podcast of it, because I think there's a lot of learning going on for me here, and I think that's really worth sharing. I also wanted the mark making to be a little looser, a little less worried about being perfect, and more controlled. I wanted to let loose a little bit, so that's what I did. What I want to also touch on real quick, those two thin lines I made next to the screen right eye socket and on the cheek there. That's something new I've discovered, where I'm trying to, I'm always thinking about when light hits an object, I need to make the lines thinner, and when shadow is falling on an object, I want to make the lines thicker. But what I discovered is I could make two thin lines, and they would appear, or it would give the illusion of a thinner line, or a line that doesn't have the weight and body to it of those thicker solid black lines. So that's something new I'm experimenting with as we go here. So I just wanted to touch on that. So here I'm just riffing on the drawing, and I'm trying to, I think at first I was making these really big, bold strokes because it was a small drawing that was blown up, and there was just a lot of room to cover it with bigger, bold strokes. But as I went along, I started to get more comfortable, and now I'm using thinner strokes, and I'm getting more out of the drawing. Not that I wasn't getting a lot out of it before. It was a simpler drawing, and my inking technique, I think, really shines when I let some of that, I don't want to say complicated, some of that rendering happen. And when I get a wider variety of mark making, that's really important. That's what I'm trying to say. So you have lines of different weights, you have marks of different thicknesses, of different sharpnesses, and all that jazz. So as I'm doing this, I'm recording it, which I don't love. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I love having this podcast, and I love being able to speak about what I'm doing as I'm doing it on screen. But it's a little hard, especially this being the first time where I'm really trying to draw and make decisions as I'm drawing with the ink, with the brush, but also making sure everything's working on camera. Excuse me, let me just take a sip of water. Sorry. So there's a lot of experience I'm bringing to the table here of having inked skulls before and having made these marks before. So I think all the years I spent rendering further with my pencils, which some people might say was too much, it taught me a lot and allowed me to discover and create this look that I think is pretty uniquely mine. I don't think people would mistake my mark making and my inking for anyone else. I think I've really discovered my own brand of inking, my own mark making, and it's all based on stuff I've seen. It's all based on observations from the world, observations of what other artists have done. I'm not trying to say I've created anything completely unique to myself. I'm certainly standing on the shoulders of giants. But, and those marks, I really am wanting to push more and more some really bold brush marks. Like, just lay that brush down. And sometimes, like you're seeing now, I finesse it. And I'm learning how to make the marks, but then sometimes I don't. That was a mistake, you see. That ink mark on his brow line. It was me just accidentally doing that. But we'll cover that with whiteout. I know that. We'll do that. Or maybe not. Yeah, we will. I also like experimenting here with thinner, lighter marks to create a lighter value, not a pure black. And this is where dry brush is really, really nice, because you can really sit these marks in there by working really dry and not as black as the shadow stuff. So I think at this point in the drawing, I'm getting much more comfortable with all this, and you can see me making lighter and some lighter mark making strokes with the brush. And again, this is the first time doing it. So as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, I want to try this next time. I want to try that next time. But there's 3 of these. This is a series of 3 skulls. So this is the first one. In the next 2 episodes, you'll see the other 2. This is also, I think, there was a nice smear on my part all over the paper. What I want you, the viewer, to understand at this point is it's okay. We have white ink. We can fix whatever we need to. We can use ink to work subtractively. We can use white ink. We can use white ink to work subtractively. We can use white ink to correct errors. All kinds of things we can do. And I wanted to leave all of that open to me. So if I'm being a little sloppy, it's okay. I kind of wanted that because I wanted to see where it took me. And there's something fun about getting moving. At the beginning, the ink's a little wet, so it's a little hard. But as I go, the ink dries a bunch and the brush loses some moisture and it gets right where I like it. And I can, from that point on, re-wet it if I need it, or just keep working dry. So this was the first one. I've got a couple spots to touch up with the white. And other than that, I think I called this a success. I like the final results. It's a bit more improvisational than I usually work, but I learned a lot, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. So I'm just going to stamp it, and once I stamp it, sign it, boom, stamp it, crack-a-lacka, Inkpulp, sign it, and we'll call it a day. So thanks for watching, and please check out the colored version on my TeePublic site, link in the description below, and get yourself a skull something, because they're pretty dope. Thanks again. Later. This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.